Hello and welcome to Medical Dialogues. I'm Dr. Bhumika. Let's look at today's top medical news. Having PTSD symptoms, Tetris Video Game may help. A BMC study on healthcare workers reveals. A single treatment session, which includes the video game Tetris, may help reducing the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. This has been shown in a new study carried out with healthcare professionals working during the COVID-19 pandemic. The study, led by researchers at Uppsala University, is published in BMC Medicine. It is possible to reduce the frequency of unpleasant and intrusive memories of trauma and thereby also alleviate other PTSD symptoms. With just one guided treatment session, we saw positive effects that persisted after 5 weeks and even 6 months after treatment. Trauma can affect anyone. If this effect can be achieved with an everyday tool that includes video gaming, it could be an accessible way to help many people, explains Emily Holmes, professor at Uppsala University, who led the study. In the current study, the researchers focused on getting rid of flashbacks. By replacing intrusive memories using a visual task, other PTSD symptoms can also be reduced. The treatment is based on what is known as mental rotation, which lies at the heart of Tetris. When you look at an object from one angle, you can imagine what it would look like if it were rotated to a different position and could be seen from a different angle. Signs of aging. Stanford researchers find major biomolecular shifts in our 40s and 60s. Researchers assessed many thousands of different molecules in people from age 25 to 75 as well as their microbiomes, the bacteria, virus and fungi that live inside us and on our skin, and found that the abundance of most molecules and microbes do not shift in a gradual chronological fashion. Rather, we undergo two periods of rapid change during our lifespan, averaging around 44 and age 60. The paper was published in the Journal of Nature Aging. We are not just changing gradually over time, there are some really dramatic changes, said Michael Snyder, PhD, professor of genetics and the study's senior author. It turns out the mid-40s is a time of dramatic change, as is the early 60s. And that's true no matter what class of molecules you look at. These big changes likely impact our health. The number of molecules related to cardiovascular disease showed significant changes at both time periods, and those related to immune function changed in people in their early 60s. Snyder, the Stanford W. Asterman, MD Fax, professor in genetics, and his colleagues were inspired to look at the rate of molecular and microbial shifts by the observation that the risk of developing many age-linked diseases does not arise incrementally along the years. For example, risk of Alzheimer's disease and cardiovascular disease rise sharply in older age compared with a gradual increase in risk for those under 60. The researchers use data from 108 people they've been following to better understand the biology of aging. Past insights from this same group of study volunteers include the discovery of 4 distinct agiotypes, showing that people's kidneys, liver, metabolism, and immune system age at different rates in different people. The new study analyzed participants who donated blood and other biological samples every few months over the span of several years. The scientists tracked many different kinds of molecules in these samples, including RNA, proteins, and metabolites, as well as shifts in participants' microbiomes. The researchers tracked age-related changes in more than 135,000 different molecules and microbes for a total of nearly 250 billion distinct data points. Bariatric surgery surpasses GLP-1 diabetes medication in progression of chronic kidney disease, shows Cleveland Clinic study. Bariatric surgery was shown to protect kidney function and reduce the risk of kidney failure in study participants when compared to GLP-1 medications. A Cleveland Clinic study showed that in patients with type 2 diabetes, obesity, and chronic kidney disease, bariatric surgery was associated with a significant decrease in the progression of chronic kidney disease compared to those who received GLP-1 diabetes medication. The paper was published in Annals of Surgery. Ali Abnian, MD, lead author of the study and director of Cleveland Clinic's Bariatric Metabolic Institute, said, "Our study shows that bariatric surgery can protect the kidneys and prevent the worsening of kidney function. In patients with obesity and type 2 diabetes who already have established chronic kidney disease, bariatric surgery can change the trajectory of the disease." The study included 425 adult patients with type 2 diabetes, obesity, and stage 3 or 4 chronic kidney disease. Among the study participants, 183 patients underwent bariatric surgery, while 242 patients were treated with GLP-1 receptor agonist medication. Patients involved in the study underwent bariatric surgery between 2010 and 2017 or continuously received GLP-1 medication that were FDA approved and available during the time frame of the study. In the non-surgical group, the most common GLP-1 medication were liraglutide and exenatide. During follow-up, 20% of patients in the non-surgical group received newer GLP-1 medications such as semaglutide or tirzepatide at some point. Researchers found that bariatric surgery could protect kidney function and reduce the risk of kidney failure or death in patients. MIT study shows that 2-dose schedule may make HIV vaccine more effective. In a new study, the researchers have now found that they can achieve an immune response similar to multi-dose regimen with just 2 doses given 1 week apart. The first dose, which is much smaller, prepares the immune system to respond more powerfully to the second, larger dose. This study, which was performed by bringing together computational modeling and experiments in mice, used an HIV envelope protein as the vaccine. A single-dose version of this vaccine is now in clinical trials, and the researchers hope to establish another study group that will receive the vaccine on a 2-dose schedule. By bringing together the physical and life sciences, we shed light on some basic immunological questions that help develop this 2-dose schedule to mimic the multiple-dose regimen. Says Arup Chakrabarti, the John M. Deutsch Institute professor at MIT and a member of MIT's Institute for Medical Engineering and Science and the Reagan Institute of MIT, MGH and Harvard University. This approach may also generalize to vaccines for other diseases, Chakrabarti notes. Chakrabarti and Darrell Irvine, a former MIT professor for biological engineering and material science and engineering and members of the Koch Institute for Integrative Cancer Research, who is now a professor of immunology and microbiology at the Scripps Research Institute, are the senior authors of the study, which appears in Science Immunology. The lead author of the paper are Sachin Bakchandani, PhD, and Lirang Yang, PhD. One promising vaccine now in clinical trial consists of an HIV protein called an envelope trimmer along with a nanoparticle called SMNP. The nanoparticle developed by Irwin's lab acts as an adjuvant that helps recruit a stronger B-cell response to the vaccine. In clinical trials, this vaccine and other experimental vaccines have been given as just 1 dose. However, there is growing evidence that a series of doses is more effective at generating broadly neutralizing antibodies. The 7-dose regimen, the researchers believe, works well because it mimics what happens when the body is exposed to a virus. The immune system builds up a strong response as more viral proteins or antigens accumulate in the body. In the new study, the MIT team investigated how this response develops and explored whether they could achieve the same effect using a smaller number of vaccine doses. Giving 7 doses just isn't feasible for mass vaccination, Bakchandani says. We wanted to identify some of these critical elements necessary for the success of this escalating dose and to explore whether that knowledge could allow us to reduce the number of doses. The researchers began by comparing the effects of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 doses, all given over a 12-day period. They initially found that while 3 or more doses generated strong antibody responses, 2 doses did not. However, by tweaking the dose intervals and ratios, the researchers discovered that given 20% of the vaccine in the first dose and 80% in the second dose, 7 days later achieved just as good a response as a 7-dose schedule. Thank you for watching Medical Dialogues. Stay tuned for more such updates.
Never miss a medical update from Medical Dialogues. Like, subscribe, and press the bell icon.